What's up guys, it's been a little over a week since the release of Snapshot 6 and man has it been a blast so far. There's been plenty of additions that came in this snapshot, but I kind of want to shrink down the list to the 3 big things that were added and kind of give some initial feedback on that. The 3 big things that I'm referring to is squads, the cleaners, and the proving grounds 2. A lot of other things were added, such as the vendor where we can buy and sell items. We got the frag grenade, which was an awesome addition, but today I just want to talk about the big stuff. A little disclaimer before we get into things. DEADROP is in a closed pre-alpha state. That means 2 things, right? Number 1, this game is far from releasing. Anything that I talk about is subject to change. And 2, it is in fact closed. It is not open to everyone and anyone. Currently, there are 2 ways to get into the game. The more expensive way is to log into OpenSea and spend about $400, $500, $600, on up from there to buy a Founder's Pass. Or you find a creator that has a tower key. Right now, there's no events that are lined up, so nobody's playing in events, getting tower keys. Midnight Society gave some away in their live stream last week during their live stream event that they held for Snapshot 6. But right now, creators are really the only ones that are holding on to them, unless Midnight Society decides, you know what, hey, let's give out a few more, or they hold an event where they give out some more for prizes. As of last week, Doc confirmed on stream that, hey, tower keys, no more.
When will additional tower keys be released? Says Southern Seth with the Fight Art of the Nation. No more tower keys. Specifically tower key. You know what I mean? No more tower keys will be released. But I don't know. Keep your notifications on.
Now, what is that other key and when will we be seeing it? Who knows, right? But I have one last tower key to give away. One last one. So if you're interested in that, keep watching. Let's get into it. The first thing that I want to get into is squads. Since Snapshot 5 was released, squads were a huge request from the community. While squads may have unofficially been in the game thanks to Prox Chat, we weren't really able to get a feeling on what collaborating with the team really felt like in DEADROP. While the large majority of the player base is out for blood, some of us were running around screaming friendly, 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 and sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't. To some extent, this was a lot of fun because you didn't really know what to expect from the other players. Sometimes you received a chill response, sometimes you received some smack talk, and then other times you received no comms, just straight bullets. And now it seems that is all changed in Snapshot 6. Squads in DEADROP work a little differently than Battle Royales. It is much more like Tarkov or the Cycle, and what I mean by that is that you're able to load into a match as a solo, a duo, or a trio. There are no separate playlists at this time. This is pretty controversial in the community right now because obviously as a solo player, you are at a huge disadvantage. Will there be additional playlists once the game releases? Only time can tell, but I can say that it does make gunfights very interesting now. You never know how many people that you're going to fight against, and as a trio, you really don't care because the ratio can't be more than your squad, right? But if you load in solo, the way you play has to change just a little. You have to be careful and watch your back a little bit more. This creates a unique way to play the game, and as a creator, I think I like this. But if I were a solo player full time, I could absolutely see the frustration. One thing to point out with squads is that it appears that people don't really use prox comms as much as they did in previous snapshots. This puts solo players at a high disadvantage because you've got trios and duos collaborating together in a call together, whether it's on Discord or in the game. And then you're a solo and you're trying to use prox comms and they're either A, not listening to you, or B, they're listening to you and they don't care. But one thing to point out is that there are a lot of competitors within this DEADROP community right now. A lot of the guys that are playing every single day, they compete in all the tournaments and they compete on a regular basis. But I would hope that whenever the player base gets larger, more casual type players will come in, the Prox Chat encounters will go up, and hilarity will ensue. Up next is the cleaners that were introduced. If you're not familiar with the cleaners, they are the new AI in DEADROP. There are 3 types of cleaners, and as of right now, I don't believe that there's anything special between the 3, just their names. You have the Harvester, the Scout, and the Guard. These guys are unique to any game that I've ever played with PvE mechanics. They're not just walking around the map like dumb NPCs like you would see in Warzone or Tarkov, They actually pop up randomly after gunfights when there's some loot on the ground, and these guys will spawn in and they'll clean up the loot if you don't take care of them soon. This definitely slows down the game just a little while traversing cold storage, and I mean that in a good way. Players now have to decide on engaging them or turning around to go a different way, but there are a lot of changes that I would like to see with them. First off, you don't want to come across these guys when you're low on health. I already thought before this snapshot that Midnight Society could definitely increase the number of bandages available on the maps, but when you face the cleaners, you're in for a rough time if you're not full or at least almost full on health. They will take you down very quickly, and I think I'm okay with that. But there are two things that I would like to see help combat this. Number one is some kind of guaranteed reward after defeating the cleaners. At this point, I would be okay with just some ammo and some health, because two things are going to happen whenever you're fighting the cleaners. You will shoot and you will get shot. So guaranteed ammo and health would be great. If there's more than that, that's even better. Number two is a down mechanic. This goes beyond just fighting the cleaners, but when you're in a pinch and you really need some health and you take one bullet from a scout across the room, that's just unfortunate, man. Especially if you're on your last life, you had some high tier loot in your bag, you just got out of a fight, you turn a corner and there's an AI looking you dead in the face. It almost feels a little cheesy. I would rather die from a real player defending my own loot than dying to a random AI shot. Like I've said before, you know, extraction shooters, they're pretty punishing. They're pretty harsh, especially on casual players that don't get to play the game every single day. And that would kind of introduce a nice mechanic for a squad if one goes down to pick them back up, especially when fighting AI. It's just, man, it's like you die from just unfortunate stuff, and just having that down mechanic where a teammate can come res you, it would be a welcomed addition, I think, by a large portion of the community. Overall, I would say that the cleaners were a really good add to the game, but they will need some work. And again, just to make it clear for those that don't know, Midnight Society is still laying the foundation for this game. We still got a long way to go. The last thing that I want to talk about is the new Proving Grounds map. So we got a new map in Snapshot 6 called the Proving Grounds 2. And for those that aren't aware, this is the second Proving Grounds map, because we already received a Proving Grounds of cold storage before cold storage was a thing. One thing to definitely point out, the first Proving Grounds that we got and now the current cold storage, there's a few structural changes. So the new Proving Grounds map, while you may not like it or maybe you love it, you can pretty much bet on it changing in some form or fashion. In its current state, it's filled with tons of areas for close quarter and long range battles. The center of the map features open walkways with great sight lines for sniping, and then on the sides we have our close quarter battles with the apartments. And this is where the SMG and the shotguns really shine. The verticality of cold storage carries right over to the new Proving Grounds, as there's plenty of ways to traverse up and down this new sector. Another thing to point out is that if you're new to DEADROP, you may wonder why the art from one sector looks so different from the other. Cold storage is in a much more completed stage, and the Proving Grounds is the introduction of a sector. This is the first look at whatever sector this will be called, and we'll get to see some sort of Proving Grounds for each sector going forward. I'm not sure how Midnight Society is developing things. Obviously, I'm not a developer, but it appears that level designer Brad Boyce has completed his work on cold storage for the most part, and it's now in the art guy's hands. I would assume that Brad is now currently working on Proving Grounds 3 while also monitoring feedback on Proving Grounds 2 and making adjustments from there. The last thing that I'll mention is that currently there is no sector shutdown active in the Proving Ground 2. In cold storage, we have the freeze that comes up and shuts down the sector. What will this sector do? Are there clues in the map that already tell us what it's going to do? You know, I got to thinking about the tower, the radio tower. There might be something there. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Overall, the Proving Grounds 2 is a huge W for me, and I can't wait for it to be further down in the art stages. Obviously, there is plenty more to talk about with Snapshot 6, from the new gun animations, shout out Henry, to one of my favorite aspects of Snapshot 6, and that's the ability to pick up the bag after you kill someone, and you're able to bring it to another room, turn a corner, get some cover, and you're able to loot behind cover. I absolutely love that ad. It's so simple, yet so awesome. But unfortunately, that's all I've got time for today. Oh, and back to the tower key giveaway. Last week on Friday Night Dead Drop, I had a ton of fun giving away one of my tower keys. So therefore, this Friday on Friday Night Dead Drop, I'll be giving away my very last tower key. My last one. And remember, from what Doc said, tower keys are gone for good. There's no instructions on how to enter. You'll just have to show up on Friday and we'll dive into it. But hey, that's all I've got for you today. Looking forward to Friday Night Dead Drop. I'll see you on the next one.